Today I'm joined with Mayor Scott, Deputy Commissioner Cherie Briscoe, and Lead Detective Amato. We're here to provide an update on the incident that involved an injured Baltimore Department Sergeant that occurred last night. First, I want to reiterate that our prayers are with the Sergeant, his family, his loved ones, his co-workers, and the entire Baltimore law enforcement communities. We are all shaken up right now, but we also know that this Sergeant, a 27-year veteran, is strong and resilient. We're continuing to provide the family and our officers with the support and the resources during this time. I have spoken with the staff at Shock Trauma and confirmed that the Sergeant is in fair condition now and is out of surgery and recovering. This incident is yet another tragic reminder of the level of violence that continues to plague our city. And as we stated last night, the Sergeant was exactly where he was supposed to be, doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing. He put himself in harm's way to help make sure citizens are protected, to catch people committing violent acts, and to help create a safer Baltimore. On June 28, 2022, at approximately 8 o'clock p.m., the Sergeant was conducting a vehicle stop in the 5200 block of Park Heights Avenue after a traffic violation. Upon his approach, the Sergeant observed a weapon and confirmed that the suspect was armed. The suspect was given verbal commands to exit the vehicle, at which point the Sergeant was attempting to physically remove the suspect from the vehicle. The suspect then accelerated his vehicle with the Sergeant partially still inside, thus dragging him approximately 2 blocks. Today, at approximately 7:30 a.m., officers responded to the 1600 block of Druid Hill Avenue for a potential barricade situation. Central District officers and our SWAT responded and secured the scene at approximately 11:30 a.m., and a person of interest was taken into custody without incident. This suspect is identified as 36-year-old Joseph Daniel Black and has been arrested in relation to last night's incident. Just this afternoon, Black confessed to his involvement in injuring one of our members. When we talk about repeat violent offenders, this is what we are referring to. Black has been arrested at least 19 times as an adult, with little or no regard for consequences. He has multiple arrests for violent crimes to include attempted murder, assault, weapons charges, and he was on probation or parole. So I want to thank the hardworking members of our department who continue to go out each and every day to make our city safer, to put their lives on the line to protect and serve. I also want to thank our detectives in this case and all of the law enforcement partners who assisted us in apprehending this individual. We would not have been able to conduct such a thorough and swift investigation without the assistance of our regional law enforcement partners, our crime laboratory, our SWAT team, the Warrant Apprehension Task Force, the U.S. Marshals, as well as the cooperation of our community. Also, a special thank you to all the policing leaders from across the country who reached out to me last night and today to send well wishes to our department and to our Sergeant's family. I am extremely proud of the efforts of the entire Baltimore Police Department and want to reiterate my calls for prayers and well wishes to our Sergeant, his family, and our city. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Scott for a few remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, and thank you to the brave women and men of BPD who go out each and every day, putting their lives on the line for all of us to make Baltimore a safer city. And first, I want to offer my continued thoughts and prayers for the Sergeant, his family, his co-workers, the entire community of Park Heights after this unfortunate and tragic event. This, as you heard from the Commissioner, you heard from us last night, Sergeant was out doing his job exactly where we need them to be, in the 5100 block of Park Heights. Like I said last night, if you've ever visited that block, there's no question to why we have police activity in that block. If you talk to community leaders in Park Heights, the first block that they're going to mention is the 5100 block of Park Heights. And he was out of his car, being proactive, engaging in doing the things that we hear so often from folks about what our police officers aren't doing exactly that. And what was supposed to be a normal duty put this officer in shock trauma. And frankly, an individual who had no business being out, who should have still been behind bars, was out wreaking havoc on the streets of Baltimore yet again. So imagine if you're this officer's family or the other victims of the previous crimes and you see this same individual, what impacts that's going to have on you and your community. There is no reason why someone with multiple arrests for second-degree attempted murder and almost 20 charges in connection with violent crimes was even granted parole. There's no excuse for that. And really, what we have to do, but because other parts of our system clearly have to be changed and updated because they are broken, we are going to make sure that we're working with to improve them. Because right now, that ended up with one of our officers being in shock trauma under the care of Dr. Scalea last night. This highlights the need to step up our rehabilitation and reentry work, because clearly someone who was in and out of prison for years wasn't properly being prepared to re-enter into our society. Our officers, everyone in our community who works around public safety, work around the clock to improve public safety for our residents. But it is truly disheartening for them, for their communities, to arrest the same individuals over and over and over again. I am grateful that our sergeant's condition is improving, but we have to look at ourselves and all of us, those of us around us, to examine what led to this with a fine-tooth comb. This is bigger than the commissioner, than BPD, than me. It's bigger than Baltimore, but we have to start with ourselves and work with those around us. These broken systems, this record that we have been hearing for much of my life has to stop playing, because we're talking about putting people's public safety at risk. Thank you.
Question, you said he was granted parole. He was not granted parole. He was given a plea deal. You talk about officers doing what they're supposed to do. Officers arrested this guy for trading gunfire with somebody else with an illegal gun, and he was fleeing, crashed a car, and there was guns in the car. He got time served. Are officers making cases that stink, or are prosecutors not doing their job?
Well, it's our job to make sure we produce quality cases to turn over for prosecution. We're doing just that. And it's unknown what happens afterwards. What we can say is that we are encountering people who are repeat violent offenders. Much of that is not because the police cases are bad cases, for many reasons. Our concern is to make sure that we produce good quality cases that make it through. And on many of these cases, we believe those cases were good cases that led to convictions.
Can you also comment on whether he is a person of interest or a full-blown wanted suspect in a homicide that occurred in Park Heights?
I cannot confirm that. What we can tell you is that on every case, we make sure that we can debrief and interview and interrogate if necessary to get all the information we need if we believe that one case is connected to others, or one person is connected to others.
Would you explain how the traffic stop came about? What was the nature of the traffic stop? How did he become trapped in the vehicle, and how did he become loose from that vehicle?
Well, what we know right now is that the sergeant observed the traffic violation, and that's what we're saying right now. Was making the stop upon the officer's approach, apparently observed that the driver was armed. Apparently, when verbal commands to exit did not work, the officer was trying to make a physical removal of the suspect from the vehicle, at which time he hit the gas and moved forward with the vehicle, thus dragging the officer. What we know is that it was founded upon a violation, which was a traffic violation.
Did he just become loose? I mean, did he make himself free?
I believe there was probably the striking of another vehicle, but at some point the officer became dislodged and was injured.
If you believe your officers are making strong cases, then who is dropping the ball, and how can this be changed so we don't see this happen again?
So, well, what we know is that we are working to produce good quality cases, and we're checking on that to make sure that that happens. I cannot speak to what happens with those cases because there are many reasons why they may be getting dropped. It may not be because of it's a poor police case. What I can tell you is that it is our job to make sure we produce the best quality product. That is my job as the police commissioner, and our deputy commissioner works on that every single day. There are many reasons, and we don't always know what they are.
Lee?
In the same vein, though, I mean, this guy had a 33-count indictment against him, and the only thing he got dinged with was felon in possession of a firearm. I mean, I know you say you can't comment, but like, what is going on? He had attempted second-degree murder, and then 2 months before that was charged with attempted first-degree murder.
Those are great questions. I just believe you're asking them to the wrong person at this time.
Mackenzie?
We talk about these plea deals all the time. We're seeing them happen. We had them Monday, yesterday, this week. These people are getting released back out onto the streets. I mean, at this point, do you even have confidence that your officers or the work that they're doing will be seeing results in the courtroom? And are you having conversations with the prosecutors who seem to be allowing these plea deals to go on?
I have great confidence in the men and women of the Baltimore Police Department. I have not been given any information in writing or verbally about poor cases, and when we do get that, we make the necessary corrections. Once again, those are all great questions. I'm just not the person to answer them.
Hold on, Mackenzie. Brittany?
Yeah, are all of his charges listed for this incident yesterday, or can you talk about all of the charges that he's facing?
Detective? I think all of the charges from last night are, you have that. I think everything from last night, you would have that. If there are more forthcoming, we'll be happy to give that to you, but I think you have everything that we're charging him with right now.
Mackenzie?
Just a quick follow-up to those questions. I mean, we talk about these plea deals happening. At this point, do you still have confidence in the top prosecutor in Baltimore, Marilyn Mosby?
Well, you know, this is the person I do her performance evaluation. The mayor does my performance evaluation.
But you have to work in partnership with her. Do you have
Yes.
confidence in her?
I have confidence in the work that we're doing at the police department. I cannot speak for anything else because I'm not there watching the performance there or in consultation with how decisions are made there
You're
about
seeing
those
the
cases.
performance.
Justin, next.
And what we know about the traffic stop is that, I assume that's from watching the body camera video?
Part of it, yes.
Okay. And I think David has a fair question. I mean, why can't we know what the traffic stop was? Did he run a red light? Did he have a tag out? Like, what was the traffic stop? That doesn't seem to be a major point here.
No, it's not necessarily a major point. I'm informed that it was a traffic violation that the sergeant observed. It probably had something to do with, if not the vehicle movement, license plates or something like that. What we're giving you right now is that it was a traffic violation that led to the reasonable suspicion to conduct the stop and gave him the authority to make that approach. When he did, he saw that the suspect was armed.
Lee, last question.
Right.
Lee?
You said that your officers were in the right place, doing the right thing, doing the thing that the community asked you to do, and then now you have an officer that was in critical condition in the hospital. Does that put a chilling effect on your department, on your officers wanting to go out and be engaged?
Well, it's always a chilling effect. It makes us, number one, make sure we are following our training. It makes sure that we are being safe, that we're utilizing our resources, our colleagues and co-workers. But it also informs us of the violent nature, the brazenness of today's offender. And it reminds us of how dangerous this work is, but it also reminds us of how necessary we are in preventing crime and apprehending people who commit crime and helping make the people of Baltimore safer.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you all.